Hello, and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I've always liked this movie.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Critters, which came out in 1986, written by Dominic Meer and directed by Stephen Herek. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Critters?
Well, the story follows a group of intergalactic escaped prisoners known as the Krites that have just hijacked a spaceship and have crash landed on the planet Earth. They lay siege to the Brown family's farm, and we follow the family to see if any of them will not get eaten.
As I said, this was written by Dominic Meer, who's known for writing and directing the Evil Bong series of films. That's
Wow.
right, an Evil Bong.
We have to see that. Why have we not reviewed the Evil Bong series?
He also did the Ginger Dead Man.
Oh my god, these sounds like classics.
And then Critters, of course. But it's from director Stephen Herek, who directed both Bill and Ted's excellent adventure films.
And the Bogus Journey.
And the Bogus Journey, yeah. He also directed Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh, that's a good film.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
also saw that he had directed The Chaperone with Triple H. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
I'm Mr. Bradstone. I'm the chaperone.
I absolutely love Critters. You know, I saw it a couple of years after it came out, and I was going through my sci-fi phase at this point. So I'd already seen Alien, I'd already seen Escape from New York. I was working my way through, John Carpenter's collection, and James Cameron had just, at the same year that this came out, had just done Aliens. So space was exploding. Creatures from another world were coming down and fucking shit up. But Critters was very close to Gremlins, I always found.
Of course. Now, the guy who wrote the script for Critters has said and testified to this that his script was in existence way before Gremlins was ever conceived. It's just that no one ever gave Critters the time of day until Gremlins was a success, and then they're like, oh, let's have a look at that Critters script and get that into production.
Yeah, but it's got that. This film's got such an awesome opening. It's basically, you've got this asteroid, you've got these weird little creatures that everyone's scared
You don't
of.
see them, you just hear about them on the radio and how they have a ferocious appetite.
Yeah, and classic horror trope there. Let's not reveal the killer just yet until halfway through the film. So you're just like, oh, I want to see them, but you're getting glimpses of this futuristic world. Guys in weird alien suits walking around. You got
they're faceless.
The warden
Yeah.
he's just a classic character floating around on that little hovercraft thing. But the Krites all escape, and you hear there's only 8 of them. So you're like, well, is that a lot in Krite terms? There seems to be a lot. We've heard that they're eating everything in sight, so they're probably like mini piranhas. But they jump in their ship and they're gone. And so the warden has to call on his 2 faceless bounty hunters. How awesome is that?
It's a really cool setup.
We've got chameleon bounty hunters that can take on the form of anything that they choose.
Your transformation capabilities should come in quite handy there. I trust, however, you will be less destructive this time.
And so we do get that transformation sequence where they're flying down to Earth and they're looking at sort of broadcast TV.
Power of the Night is like one of the greatest songs of the 80s ever made.
It's catchy, but the thing is, you're going to hear it a lot.
A lot. I never realized it's like the only song in this whole film.
Pretty much. Everyone's listening to it.
Everybody's listening
It's
to
either
it.
on the TV or they've got it on cassette tape.
And it's all performed by Terrence Mann, who plays Ugg, or Johnny Steele, one of the bounty hunters. For many years, I was always wanting to see Johnny Steele on TV because in this film, he's like a well-known superstar, and he's also an alien bounty hunter.
Didn't see him in much else.
No. But he's also got his partner, who... Does the second bounty hunter have a name in this one?
I don't know, but I mean, I just always remember the second bounty hunter being called Lee. So
Yeah.
whether that's the second one just sort of overriding it, because I don't think they even call him Ugg in this one either.
No.
So-
They end up calling Ugg his character's name in like the second and third one. But in this one, one of the bounty hunters has just found nothing he can change into. So I thought watching it for the review, I thought it was saving on a lot of budget if you needed an alien character that could just like look like other characters you'd already previously seen in the film.
Now, I will say, the special effect for Ugg's transformation
Oh yes.
is really good. It reminds me of Clive Barker's Hellraiser. You know, it's all reversed footage.
Yeah.
So you can watch his face melting away and then melting back to form the face. It's, you know, it's quite creepy. You see the human skeleton underneath it. So,
Yeah.
and all the blood and tissue forming. So yeah, that's a cool effect. It's all practical.
Yes. And we are introduced to the Brown family as well, who are on Earth. You've got D. Wallace Stone playing Helen Brown, the mother. That woman is really beautiful. I realised this while I was watching Critters, that I've seen her in a lot of films. You know, she's in The Howling. She's in Cujo.
E.T.
She's in E.T. She was in Rob Zombie's remake Halloween. But in this movie, there are just shots that linger on her. You know, and the sun's shining through the house, and she's there in her apron, just pottering around, making sure everything's like perfect. And I was just like, wow, she's just really just caught my eye at this stage. That when she starts screaming, and she was a scream queen as well, that she keeps being hypnotized to the screen like Jamie Lee Curtis would, you know, or any of the other classic scream queens. Her husband is played by Billy Green Bush, playing Jay. I only ever recognise him from this film.
Yeah, I don't recognise him from much else either.
I did look up his history, and he has been kind of typecast as, you know, the old country cowboy next door kind of character. He starred in a lot of TV shows and played that kind of kind of character. And their children, Nadine Van der Velde playing April Brown, and Scott Grimes playing Brad. Typical brother and sister.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
always got behind these characters. Just their constant bickering, their constant fighting, but also the love that they got with each other through their home life too.
106.
Brad, did you tell Mom about the big geometry test you have today? Shut up.
Yeah, you know, the first sort of 20 minutes of the film really sets up this family for you. And,
Yeah.
You know, you get to see them playing with the
slingshot.
the slingshot, and then getting grounded for it, and then the sister having the boyfriend over for dinner. And
Oh, Billy Zane.
Billy Zane!
Billy Zane.
I believe his first film appearance as well.
Wow.
Fresh-faced Billy Zane.
He's got a lot of films to follow after this.
Oh, he does indeed.
But we've also got Don Keith Opper playing Charlie. Now, Charlie is your typical
He's the town
drunk. You
Yeah.
know, he's getting the alien signals through his teeth. You know, he's always talking out of his ass. But everybody just kind of, he's been there for so long. They're like his closest friend. He's not completely mentally disabled, but people kind of treat him like he is. It's kind of nice that you don't know what kind of trauma he suffered to get him to that stage. But you also don't need it, because the film's taken on for me this whole feel of your typical 50s, 60s sci-fi movie.
Yes,
you know, B-movie
yeah.
sci-fi. Alien craft comes down, crashes into the countryside, and the local townsfolk have to stop it. But the film has also got its 80s roots. You know, it's got a lot of horror films to try and catch up with. So it's going to have the blood and the guts. And we've had that initial build-up of introducing the Krites, introducing the bounty hunters, introducing the family, that it's nice when you just see that alien craft come down and everybody sees it or is influenced by it. So now they've got to all rush to investigate while the Krites are all going out to feed.
Brad sneaks out of his room and is caught by his dad, and they go off to investigate this light that they found in the sky.
Yeah.
Of course, Charlie was riding home drunk on his bicycle, and he also saw the light, so started heading towards it as well. And they arrive in the field just to find devoured cattle.
Well, one dead cow, yeah.
Well,
I gotta admit, I was questioning at this point why they had not seen the alien craft that was parked in the same
just
field.
round the corner. And it had this big blue light coming out of it.
Yeah, I know it's to set up, that the family aren't to know what's going on, but this craft's massive. You can't miss this fucking thing. But it's the interaction of the Krites as well. Their little snarling at each other, and the subtitles coming up to say that these creatures are actually quite intelligent. They're looking for food.
No, I wouldn't say they're intelligent. I would just say that at least they can communicate. But I found the critters to be pretty much stupid.
That does shit, but the communication does show a sign of intelligence because they're able to plan and hide and be stealthy about some of their attacks. I mean, like, once the Krites have gotten past the cow field, they attack the first person to meet them, which would be the police officer played by Ethan Phillips, otherwise Neelix from Star Trek Voyager.
One of the worst Star Trek characters in the history of Star Trek.
Really?
Yeah, really? Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole nother episode. But he's killed off quite good. We still haven't properly seen the Krites in action.
He just gets dragged underneath his cop car.
I like how he shuffles himself under for them. But it's the way that the initial Krite rolls across the road, and kind of for me planned to throw him off the road so that they could attack him.
No, it was purely accidental. These Krites are not that conniving. Or then again, when it comes to catching their prey. But then again, have Krites ever seen a car before? Would they even know that there was meat inside it that they could eat?
There's alien planets they've been on.
But later on we find out the Krites eat the interiors of cars as well anyway.
Yeah, these things will eat anything.
Now, there's something I want to bring up, and that there's something that I always forget when I'm thinking about watching Critters, is how much of a comedy this film is.
Yes.
And,
yes.
One of my favourite early comedy moments is when Charlie's gone to the police station to talk to the sheriff.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're coming out of my fillings. I can hear the communications. And you hear Neelix on the radio, and Charlie's mouth's open. He's like, can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Do you hear that? Charlie, it's Jeff.
I'm on Route 22.
See, that's it. The comedy for me was there before that point. It's where the bounty hunters are talking to the warden, and the warden's discussing with them about how they've got to be careful with the Krites and make sure that to eradicate them so that none of them escape, and to be very, very careful because remember the last planet that you almost. And as he's talking, the bounty hunter kind of just switches off the transmission, like, we don't need to hear that. Yeah, let's not discuss that. And I'm like, oh, okay, these guys are rough. These guys are reckless.
These guys failed their last mission, obviously.
But it also comes in with the communication from the Krites. Because, like I said, they're quite intelligent. That they're discussing with each other about what they're going to do. And we've got to look for food. Or
that's pretty much it.
The humans have weapons. That's like the best scene in the film.
There's another actress that I want to bring up as well, and that's Lynn Shay.
Oh, yes.
Who plays Sally,
yes.
who's like the police receptionist.
I like Emmet Walsh as the Sheriff Harv. He's been in quite a few horror movies as well, and I was like, wow.
Gee, he's supposed to be using a good exterminator.
The Krites themselves have made it to the Browns' house. And I forgot how they start to besiege the place. They cut the power and they cut the communications, the phone lines. So
they cut the power, man. They're animals.
That's it. They've got intelligence.
Well, the thing is, they've got to be partially intelligent if they can fly a spaceship.
Yes, and man the weapons as well. But you have that whole scene, like I said, with Dee Wallace Stone in, where she looks out the kitchen window, and you have those eyes look through, and
that's creepy.
That was it. That's what kind of got me with the whole physical horror beauty of it. That I felt scared because the Scream Queen is now screaming. The power gets cut out and the communications goes. So the family decide to check the basement for the power, and the dad goes down and he can hear noise scuttling going round, but you still haven't properly seen a Krite yet. And then when he finally shines his torch in its face, it's just a mouth of teeth.
Yeah. 3 layers of teeth,
Yeah.
red eyes, and just a black fur.
Yeah, it's like a piranha on land.
With legs.
Yeah, and then the fact that you can see like 3 or 4 of them. And then one of them fires its quills out of its back into the dad, who immediately gets kind of sedated. I'm like,
Well, of all
whoa.
throughout the films, when a lot of people get hit by those things, they're almost out immediately.
Yes.
But I was like, at least the dad in the first one took several, and he still didn't actually pass out or go down. He carried on fighting them off until he got out of the basement.
Yes.
Most others would just have been, food.
I like the way that it initially, it drops one on his shoulder.
He's got one on his leg.
And he's pulling it off, and you're just seeing these big, massive bite, bloody marks. So you're like, shit, when these things get hold.
You're not really seeing any wounds. All you're just seeing is
No.
just a mat of red, So you're not really seeing chunks being taken out at all.
Yeah, I mean, that is a problem when later on with the police officer. Like,
Yeah.
when they come across his body.
And I'm like, they were supposed to have eaten him, right?
Yeah, there
How
shouldn't
come
be-
his whole body's been left? Did he just taste bad? Well, it was Neelix, so...
Yeah. But after the dad has been rescued by mum and son, April and Billy Zane are then attacked out in the barn, and he takes one straight to the gut.
Yeah.
And that's it. Billy Zane is taken out of the fight within the first few seconds. But another comedy element comes to us when Bradley gets into the barn to rescue his sister and chucks a small firecracker onto the floor, and the critter, without even thinking, just picks it up and goes, "Oh, I'm going to eat
See,
it."
and that's when you question their intelligence again. It's like their compulsion to need to eat just overrides any kind of intelligence that they might otherwise have, which I guess would make them far more dangerous than they really are.
See, now, does this one survive that explosion?
No, I mean, I think in the original script it was supposed to explode, but
Yeah.
they were like, look, we can only afford to make so many of these krites, so we're going to use this one for later scenes, so don't blow it up.
Yeah, don't blow it up. Because
I don't know.
for
but
the review, I started to count because they said there was 8.
I think it's funnier, the fact that it just kind of inflates and falls over.
Yeah, and that's what I started to think. Well, maybe they are slightly more tougher than we think. Because there's that one on the dad's leg. He starts hitting with a hammer, and that one still gets up.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few. The awesome balance for this film, that's why I love this film so much, is that while we're also getting the kind of horrific, funny attacks with the family at home with the critters, we're also cutting back to the bounty hunters that are
They've now taken
investigating. Yeah.
They've now taken Neelix's cop car, but when they get into it, the car is set in reverse, and so they drive the police car all the way into town in reverse.
Yeah, I can only imagine they were investigating for the first news of the krites so that they can go and destroy the krites. But they land, at least they must land near the krites craft. They must be tracking the krites spacecraft. Do they disable that said craft just in case any of the krites escape and plan to fly away at the end of the movie? Because we've also been told that the shuttle has enough fuel to make the ship travel around the whole universe twice? No, they don't. They just get off with the bazookoids.
Well, we've already discovered that these bounty hunters are questionable at their job.
Yeah. That is true.
I mean, when they turn up at the church, they reverse and take out the entire front section of it.
And one of them just morphs in front of all
Everyone
the witnesses
into the preacher.
It's like, well, why? He's already said nothing likes him, so he's just going to keep taking faces until he finds one that he likes.
Right.
Because it cuts back to the family, and then cuts back to the bounty hunters while they're investigating the bowling alley, and they just they fucking messed the whole bowling alley up as well.
It's really dumb comedy.
Yeah.
I love these bounty hunters.
Yeah, so do I. Because it keeps the pacing going. Because when it cuts back to the family, that you're thinking, why is the family not escaping? They've just got this truck ready. Why can't they get out there? And once they get to the truck, they realise that the krites have ripped up the whole inside of the truck. So in my mind, I'm like, so these krites are playing with the Browns. They could easily roll inside the house and just start firing quills all over the place.
See, it's at this point where I'm just like, are they gremlins or are they critters? Do these krites just want to eat? Or are they trying to eat this stuff and realizing that it can't be eaten? Or are they, being like gremlins and destroying all these electronic devices or ways for the family or anybody to escape?
Well, that's for me. Like I said, that's why I think they are intelligent for their species. I suppose not considered to all other species. They're intelligent enough that they're toying with the Browns. They want to eat the Browns. They love eating flesh. It's lucky Chewie doesn't get eaten at one point. But they're trying to eat all this other stuff and realizing no, that's crap. But they're finding out, this is a vehicle. The Krites could probably get on each other's shoulders and drive a truck if they want.
Well, they can get big enough to drive it anyway.
The whole factor that these things could get bigger, I absolutely loved. For me, that's what completely separated them from Gremlins. I mean, I always kept Gremlins and Critters separate anyway. Gremlins are oriental, mystical beings that get wet, turn into, or multiply, and then eat after midnight, become a gremlin. A critter is always a critter.
Yeah.
And the more they eat, the more that they can grow. And I've always imagined that the bigger that they can get, the more eggs they can make, which means the more critters that they can make, which is more devastating for the planet. But the film series would obviously not take that awesome idea. And we only really see one in this film become a bigger one. And we only really briefly glimpse it. We don't actually get like a full frontal shot of it actually doing anything major.
Well, there's quite a few shots of it walking around, and you see it in full scale.
Yeah, but walking around.
The guys that made the suit, they were told that it wouldn't be seen that much.
Yeah.
And they were surprised at how much of it you do see in the film. And some shots, it was a dwarf in, a full suit walking around. So, and some of it works, and some of it you're just like, it's part of the charm of the no budgetness.
Yes, but it's for me, it's the fact that we've already based these critters. They're all individuals. They've all got their own little attitudes, and so this one bigger, he's now becoming the leader.
Yeah.
He's now thinking up these plans. But the family are really in desperate trouble. I mean, Mum's been taken out, Dad's been taken out. April is absolutely off her face because her boyfriend has been eaten. And Bradley knows he's really the hero. He's got to run like hell and try to get some help. So he does manage to escape, flag down a lucky police car that's driving past, which has got the two bounty hunters in, and brings them back to his house.
Who are you guys?
We want the Krites.
And the bounty hunters just fuck shit up.
Guns blazing. Shoot first, think never.
But it's also cool in comparison because the mum who, Dee Wallace, who's looked beautiful, taking care of her perfect home, has had to start fucking shit up herself.
Oh yeah.
To save her family.
Oh yeah, she's taking no shit. She's taking that gun and blasting Krites left, right, and centre.
And the Krites are getting scared because now the bounty hunters are turned up. Their buddies are dying. They're like, shit, we might as well try and make a run for it. So they kidnap April.
Take a snack.
Yeah. Well, they got babies to feed along the way. And they race back to their alien craft. Bradley hooks up with Charlie and the two of them race to the alien craft as well. And Bradley sneaks aboard. And it's even though you only briefly see it, it's such a cool little break away from the Earth background that where's,
inside a spacecraft.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we want to see more of it, but it's so close to the end. We just want to get April and we want to get her off. Bradley and his bombs. I should have brought this up earlier, actually. Bradley has constructed himself a massive pipe bomb. Now, in the early 80s, late 80s, I watched this film. I always thought it was cool that he was able to do this. Nowadays generation would consider him a troubled teen.
Well, yeah.
For making bombs and stuff.
See, this was a great film for us to watch growing up. I was about 10 years old or so watching this film, and I wanted a slingshot. Yes. I wanted to have a Zippo or a lighter and firecrackers and dynamite, and, to go out and play with. I want to go out and blow up my action figure toys. I want to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be there to be able to save the day, just in case... alien creatures come down.
Now older watching the film, I'm here for the bounty hunters now.
Yes. Yeah. Well, but they don't get the final kill.
No.
Bradley drops his pipe bomb aboard the alien craft.
Didn't get it lit.
No, and barely manages to get it out with his sister. And Charlie breaking the cycle of his alcoholism, takes his last bottle of whiskey, shoves a cloth in the top, turns it into a Molotov, and throws it inside the craft. The Krites, however, are little bastards. And just before they fly away, they shoot the Browns home.
You can hear them laughing, all of them laughing.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And then the fact that their ship explodes to add a second explosion
to the house.
To blow everything. If you haven't made sure it's destroyed, it's fucking
Destroyed
gone
now. Yeah. And then, the family and the bounty hunters are there just looking at this wreckage.
Yeah.
And they give Brad this little remote control device thing. And they're like, see ya.
Yeah. If you ever need us, call me.
And then the house starts to rebuild itself.
Well, yeah, Brad presses a button on the thing.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was added in because of what the warden said at the beginning. The aliens have like, well, we've got this technology that can retro-engineer everything, so...
It's pretty fucking good technology.
Now, my question is this. The critters must have laid their eggs before they blew up the farm.
Right. But they did blow up the barn as well.
Man, they blew up fucking everything. The whole thing was fucking destroyed. The bounty hunters, with their technology, when they reverse engineered everything and everything reconstructed, I reckon constructed those 3 eggs at the same time.
So this thing can also put biological things back together as well as...
Well, Chewie got sucked into the debris and ended up in the little mailbox.
True.
I'm just spitballing because I can't think past the farm being rebuilt. The family are there happy, and then the camera zooms in and you see these eggs to set up a sequel. So I'm like, but wait, hold on a minute. The farm was destroyed, so they must have been rebuilt by the
technology. It's also one of the first films I recall seeing the trope of the unhatched eggs at the end of the film to potentially spawn a sequel.
Yeah, well, it's typical old Freddy Krueger glove, Michael Myers kind of. Jason
Yeah, but it was
Bourne
the first time it was always just eggs. It was actual biology that was leaving it on.
Yeah,
it wasn't some mystical demon.
Yeah,
whatever.
and the little laugh as well, like they know as
well. They know the eggs are there. Yeah. So one of the things that I think makes this movie as well is the music by David Newman.
Okay. Did he do Power of the Night?
No.
Oh.
But he had done the music for films like Heathers.
Nice.
Both the Bill and Ted movies.
Nice.
Galaxy Quest.
Nice.
And Serenity.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
That guy knows how to write some music. And the music in the film, it's kind of joyful. It's uplifting, and at the same time, when the critters are around and you don't know what this monster is, the music is suspenseful.
Yes.
And it really doesn't get in the way of the film. It doesn't override it, but it's actually very well scored for the film.
Yeah. I also like as well that, I mean, I don't know if we mentioned it, but the creature designs themselves were by the Chiodo brothers.
I think it's
who did Killer Clowns.
I think it's actually because I watched a small video and I think it's the Chiodo brothers actually.
Oh, right.
I know in the Killer Clowns we kept calling them the Chiodos,
but it's
the Chiodos, and of course the practical effects that they did in Killer Clowns and the effects of the Krites in this film are the highest of the level.
It's a perfect balance, and so for me, I don't have any favourite scenes. The whole film is just awesome. I don't know if I want to call it from the point that the asteroid is at the beginning, and in my sci-fi nostalgicness is just hyped up to 11, and I'm just ready to go. Just give me fucking critters, or the point where the craft is landing. Everything after that from the Krites saying food. I'm like, yes, let's fucking do this. It's just a fucking fun trip all the way to the end.
Yeah, I didn't actually make note of any favourite scenes in the film either, because growing up, this film was always just a classic.
Yes.
It was always something I could recommend to people. So picking favourite scenes, now it would be most of the scenes with the bounty hunters and just the silly comedy moments.
Yes.
That even though, for the most part, are not funny, are funny.
They are funny.
Yeah. Neelix getting killed, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And, the body count, there's only 2 people that actually die. It's
Yeah.
Neelix and Billy Zane.
But yeah.
And then some chickens and a cow.
But it's all. But I suppose that's what builds up more of the suspense, is that you're thinking other people are going to get killed. Like, I was always surprised the dad and the mum get taken out, and it's the kids that have to save the day. You know, I know kind of Charlie does save the day a bit, you know, but he was mainly helped out for me by Brad and a little bit by April. Seeing the adults actually be the weaker characters out of everybody.
It also makes it feel like it's a kid's film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a grown, Goonies or just something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So I definitely recommend Critter still, and I was surprised because halfway through the film I was wondering, like, would I still recommend Critters now? And with the state of monster movies as they are, that are now pretty much all CGI, I've always been the stickler for the practical effects are not always better, but they give you a sense of realism and believability that there is something there that is trying to eat you. And the facial expressions of the Krites, the audible dialogue that they have, which is incomprehensible, but subtitled. They sound like gremlins to an extent, especially when they're laughing.
Yeah.
There are so many good moments. The film, even though the Krites are mean-spirited, the film isn't. And it does have a family vibe to it as well. So maybe, it is a family film for older kids that are maybe more desensitized to things being eaten by strange alien creatures covered in a black fur.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if a child has seen Gremlins and has been able to get past that,
they're fine for Critters.
They're fine for Critters. Yeah. I highly recommend Critters. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so freaky. The creature effects are amazing. The bounty hunters are absolutely crazy. The whole family element just really works. Maybe personally for me, it's the Wallace Stone. Such a classical, beautiful horror actress there. She holds the whole film together with the great special effects, the great music, the good script. I mean, even Billy Zane, even though he's only in it for a brief bit, he holds his part, and you're like, Steve, no, when he dies. The song. I mean, the fucking song. Power of the Night, man, keeps on calling.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Uncanny.